Hey, how's it going? Brian here from RV with Tito, and welcome to this episode of what I'm going to call What's in Your Toolbox? Because people want to know. And today we're going to talk about pliers. Now, the reason I want to focus on pliers today is because I cracked open my toolbox yesterday, and I was just surprised at how many different types of pliers or plier-like tools that I have. Of course, I'm going through these and I'm like, do I actually use all of these things? And it turns out that I do, but I just use them for different things, and I have my favorites and things that I use a lot and things that I don't use as much. So I want to go through all of the stuff that I carry. You know, whether we're heading out in the RV or I'm in the shop, I keep everything in these toolboxes so that when we do travel, it's easy to just put them in the RV and we're off and running. All right, well, let's start off with a couple of general purpose set of pliers. These are Robo Grip pliers from Craftsman. I've had these for a long time. I'm not sure how long, but they have this extra mechanism here that, you know, once you squeeze it and grab something, you cinch it down a little more and it just creates this extra grip tension there that, you know, allows you to just have a much stronger hold on something. And obviously there's two sizes. So the bigger one is not just bigger though, it has a little notch in here which makes it nice to grab bolts and things like that. So, you know, we're always doing things like loosening up bolts that are going through, you know, something that you maybe can't see behind and you need to grab a hold of it. So that's where something like this comes into play. I can just reach behind and grab something like this instead of using a wrench, and then I'll take my socket here and I can, you know, loosen that up just by having this behind it, and it gives me a nice solid hold on the back. You know, you could use like a crescent wrench or other things like that, but sometimes if you can't see the other side, it's much handier to grab something like this. So it works really well for that. The small one, I realized, is my go-to tool for pulling out staples. You know, when you tear up things in the RV, there's tons of staples, whether it's flooring or some of the walls. And the reason that this works well for me, I found, is because of the shape of the head here. It's got this little piece here that gives you a little extra leverage, especially when you're pulling out like 10, 20, 50 or more staples. It works pretty well. So let me show you how that works. I'll drive a little staple here. There we go. What I can do is grab a hold of them like this, and once it reaches this flat spot, I can just use this little lip here and then pry it up. And it doesn't seem like a big advantage, but once you've done like 20, 30, 50 of these, you know, it makes pulling these up a lot quicker. But it's also good because of its rounded edges here that, you know, if you have tubing, stuff like this, it really creates a good grip around some tubing. So if I've got some PVC like this 1/2-inch PVC, I can work with it, really get a good hold of it, and it works well. Now, a similar tool is this Knipex Cobra, and it says made in Germany. It says really good quality. What makes this very versatile is that it's adjustable. So I can press on this button here. Just this button here is you can depress it, and then this whole thing moves up and down. So I can grab things up to, you know, that big, and it's great for tubing. It also has those little squared off edges so that you can grab bolts and stuff like that easier. Yeah, I can almost close my grip, and I really have a good strong hold on this thing because it's really got nice teeth in there as well. Well, of course, we got a set of vice grips, and I have 3 different sizes. So, you know, we use vice grips for lots of things. Usually for me, it's holding bolts, and it's for the larger one, you know, working on awnings and stuff like that, where you really have to create some pressure and tension on the roller tube and you don't want it to come loose, you know, you can use a larger set of vice grips for that to hold it. You know, I've got a smaller set as well. nicely adjustable here with this little piece on the end. So we all kind of know how to use vice grips. But one of the vice grips that I probably use the most instead of those other two are these little needle nose ones, because they have that vice grip function, but they just have a smaller mouth. So if I want to reach behind and grab something that I can't really see, or I'm in a really tight spot, these work really well. And I can just grip them down and it stays in place. So these are a really good set of vice grips too, and I probably use these more often than the other ones. Now we'll get into our standard sets of pliers that we probably are more familiar with, and we'll start off with needle nose pliers. Obviously, they're for grabbing small things. I use these mostly probably for electrical work, for grabbing things. Good for grabbing fuses out of a fuse block. You can just reach in, grab these easier. It's got a little wire cutting piece here for cutting wire, and a nice rubber grippy handle on these. These are the commercial electric brand, and you can also use the back here to crimp things like little wire connectors and things like that. I usually use a larger set of lineman pliers for that, and I have them here. So for cutting large cables and crimping large wires, this set of pliers works good. It has the same nice grippy handle. It's much larger. It's got a big old place to grab stuff and the ability to cut larger cable. I can actually cut most of my battery cable until I get up into like the 2/0 and 3/0 sizes. But for crimping things, it has a nice little crimper here. Got this little knob. You can just squish it down on splices and things like that to crimp them down really well. I use this quite a bit, mostly for electrical stuff. Now there's times when this set of needle nose pliers here are just a little bit too big and I need something smaller. So I have this small set here, which is spring loaded as well. It's got a little spring in here, another rubberized handle, but it's really nice for working on small, intricate stuff that I just need to really reach in and grab stuff. And when you need a little extra length on your needle nose pliers, you can use this long one. So I don't use this a lot, but I do use it when I need it, especially if you're working on like engine compartments and things where you just have a very narrow space to get in there and grab something. These have a little bend on the end here, so it's easier to grab things at an angle. And they work really well when you need them. Gives you a little extra, about that much. What's that, about 8 inches or so of length. Now the newest set of pliers in my toolbox are these vamp pliers. Now what makes these unique is they're not just like a regular set of pliers. Because of the shape of the bit inside here. If you take a look at this, the end here of the pliers, it's got a hole in it, and it's got a cutout groove in there with some teeth here on the bottom. So it's kind of like a fish, where you can put things in there like small screws and bolts and things like that, and it can really grab it well. It also has one of those squared off ends here, so if you have small bolts and things like this, you can really grab a hold of that well. I'll show you where this really comes into to play. So you've got a rounded head on this screw, and let's just say that it's all stripped out. You can't get a good grip on these with the needle nose or on the side. It just doesn't work that well. But with these, because of that rounded shape, look at that. I'm actually getting a hold of this. And now I can switch to the side, and it also has a really good bite on the side too. And then from here, I can probably remove that whole screw from this piece of wood. So these vamp pliers are just all around handy pliers to have around. You can use them for electrical stuff, but they've really also saved me to be able to remove strip screws and things like that really easily as well. So I'm happy to have this in the box. All right, well, this next set of, I guess we can call them pliers, but they're a little different. I carry the set of hemostats, and you might not believe it, but I use these all the time. So what's unique about hemostats is that, you know, I have a nice little skinny tip on the top, but they have this clamping mechanism here. So you can kind of cinch it down and it really grabs a hold of this. And, you know, you see these in medical applications quite a bit, but I use them for a lot of other things as well. So I have three. There's this long one, which is very handy for wiring, grabbing things down into small spaces, kind of like that set of a long needle nose, but I can grab it and hold on to it. Like if I was to grab this thing down there, like this, and I don't have to keep holding on to it. It's clamped in there good. To release it, I just squeeze it and out it goes. But great for holding wires. I use it for reaching up into places and grabbing wires and pulling them down, or, you know, whatever. Here, one use of it is, say if you're cleaning a tube like this, you know, whether it's, you know, for sewage or drainage or whatever, I can just use these long ones, just grab a hold of it like that, and then just stick it down in this hole, clean it out really well, and oh, if it gets stuck in there, just reach in there and grab it. So this is very useful, especially the really long ones. Now, the smaller ones also are basically identical, they're just smaller. This one has a little curve to it, so one way I use this is, you can tell that it's a little discolored because I frequently use this to grab a hold of something that I'm soldering or putting a torch to. So I can grab a hold of, so let's say, I'm just going to use this piece of wood as an example. Let's say I'm doing something like this, I can just set it like that and just leave it, and then I can, you know, heat it up or solder something, and it just has this little edge at the end so I can, you know, work with it without it being completely flat. So this one works really well as well. All right, well, this other, not necessarily pliers, but similar type of item is this little grabber tool. And, you know, you push one end and the other end opens up and you can grab stuff. Great for grabbing bolts and screws and things that you drop into your engine compartment or a small space. That's probably what most people use it for. Works great for that. What I probably use it more for is running cable through walls and small spaces, because I can get the wire close enough, and then I can stick this into the hole and, you know, put it in about 1.5 feet almost, and then maybe 2 feet, and then grab around until I grab that wire and then pull it back through the hole, and then there we go. So, you know, people usually ask, you know, how do you run wire through all these tight spots? And having tools like this that you can pull and use are very helpful in those situations. And the hemostats, like I mentioned as well, that works really well too. Being able to grab things in tight spaces is very important for when you're running cable. So this is really handy to have. You may not use it a lot, but when you do need it, it's nice to have it. Now, you know, I also made this video here about just general tools that I use all the time, power tools. So if you want to check that out, click on that video and let me know if you can think of anything that I didn't mention that you may have that's very useful, and any questions as well about these plier-like tools. But I hope you like this and got something out of it, and I'll check you out in the next one. So take it easy.